Brought to you by Tenant Controls. Lighting kits, soundboards, and more. Tenant Controls brings your models to life.
Well, hello there, my fellow modelers, and welcome to episode 74 of the Model Shop. I'm your host, Boyd Crompton. Glad to be with you guys tonight. Got a nice, beautiful night, nice evening here in San Antonio in the shop where we're working tonight. Got a nice little show in store for you guys tonight. We're going to kick things off with a look at the 132 scale Blue Thunder. This is the kit from Kitech that I've been working on for the last few episodes here. We're going to take a closer look at that in the first segment here of the show. And then we've got another out-of-the-box kit review for you guys. This is the AMT 74 Plymouth GTX in 1/25th scale that we just picked up a couple of weeks ago at the Fiesta 35 model show. It's the third of the three kits that I picked up over there. So we'll be sharing that with you guys here and doing a nice out-of-the-box review on that. And then a little bit further on in the show, we've got a nice little From the Archive section again of a lighting tutorial, which takes you into some of the details about working with LEDs and matching up resistors and doing some soldering and working with some electronics to test your circuits and things like that. It's from one of the classic TrekWorks episodes from a couple of years ago. Some of you guys might not have seen it, and it'll be I think it'll be useful to some of you out there that are new to doing wiring and lighting for these scale models. And then we've got kind of a nifty little surprise, a neat little project that I was working on here for one of our fellow viewers, Calvin Sweet, who is always coming up with some interesting stuff that he's working on, and he sent me a little project to help him out with to do some lighting and some sound effects on it for him. I think you guys will think it's pretty cool, and we'll show you that towards the end of the show. I was hoping to get a little work in on the Shelby GT 350R kit that I've started on here, but I just couldn't get to it this week. I was busy with some other stuff, but we'll kick the build off for that during next week's show. We'll be back next week with another update on the Battlestar. I've been making some progress on that. And then we've also got the little Nelly kit up there in the background you can see on the shelf up there that we showed you guys a few weeks ago, and we had that kind of little vote thing on the channel. And we're going to start that build here too, so some cool stuff coming up. Okay guys, we'll take a quick break, and we'll come back with the first segment, which will be an up-close look at the 120 or 132 scale Kitech Blue Thunder. I had a lot of fun building that one. See you right after the break, everyone. Alright, well, kicking off the show for tonight, everyone, we're going to take a look first at the 132 scale Kitech Blue Thunder. I've just got this model finished up. I've been building it over the last couple episodes here on the show, and you guys have been following along. Got some good time in on it this week, and got it all done. I'm really happy with it. You can see we've got it mounted on this nice little Polar Lights base, and we talked about the build plan at the very beginning of this, where I wanted to build this model displayed in flight, so the display stand that we used here worked out great. The Polar Lights little bases come with this little swiveling top, which is nice because we've got the model mounted on that, and we can change the angle of flight here and kind of tilt it, and we can have it banking or climbing or diving or whatever we want to do, and we can actually spin it around too, so that's really cool. We'll just kind of do that here for you real quick, and it stays nicely in place. And you can see it's a great little model kit. At 132 scale, it's about a foot long, and the model itself went together really nice. The main parts of the body and the fuselage and everything fit together really well. Didn't have to do very much putty work on it. Everything fit pretty tight. Just your usual putty work that you have to do on models of this type. Nothing very serious at all. The main issue with the build was the canopy or the cockpit glass here. Had a little bit of trouble with that, just like a lot of other people that have built this model. It doesn't fit very well. There are some gaps here and there on it, and on this particular one it was sort of bowed out a little bit here on the sides. But I kind of fiddled around with it for about an hour or so, and I got it fit in there as best as I could. The issue with it is that if you get the front part where it fits pretty good, the rear has a gap, and if you have the rear fitting pretty good, you have a big gap in the front. So I decided to get it fitting as good as I could here in the front, and then I took a little bit of automotive pinstriping tape, some fairly narrow stuff that I had here, and I put it over the gap in the back, and I just wound up painting over it. The reason I use the pinstriping tape is that it's vinyl and it won't shrink or deteriorate over time, and it followed the contours of the shapes that are up there on the top pretty closely. It laid down on there nice and flat, and then I was able to just paint right over that and match the color on the fuselage and hide it pretty well. So you have to get really up close to it and look at it before you can notice that it's there. But just kind of a quick workaround on that, and you can only do so much, but don't let the issue with the canopy stop you from getting this kit. Like I said, it was $14 including shipping from Kitech. Takes you about 3 or 4 weeks to get it, and it's totally worth it for that. The Aoshima kit that's out there is a lot more expensive, and it's a smaller scale too. It's 1/48 scale, so this is a bigger model. And as far as accuracy goes, they both look about the same from what I could tell. I think the Aoshima kit gives you a few more decals. This one is missing some of the small little markings that go on it here and there. They're kind of basic aircraft markings, things like no step and warning and spinning propeller and hot and things like that. So if you had a couple of old aircraft model kits laying around with some extra decals in there that had some of those little markings, you could put them on this and it would look just fine. You couldn't really read what a lot of the ones were on the film. They never gave you a really close look at them. So if you just kind of had some cluttered on it here and there, that would make it look better. But they do give you the most of the main markings. I really like these bright red markings that go around the cockpit. They give it that nice contrast, and they show up really nice. And then you get the numbers here at the tail and on the side of the air intakes. So the main stuff is there, and that's good enough for me. But like I said, it's a great little model kit. We had a lot of fun putting it together. I want to thank Ralph at Tenant Controls for sending us the aircraft lighting board that we used on this. We showed you the sort of on-the-bench demonstration of that board working at the beginning of this build here a few weeks ago. And it's a great little board. It's nice and small. It's user-friendly because now Ralph is including a wire harness already mounted onto that's color-coded, which makes it very easy to understand and user-friendly when you go to wire it all up. If you follow the instructions, you really can't go wrong on it. And being that it's really small, it fit inside the model with no problem. And it added some nice detail into the model. Now we've got the flashing navigation lights on the tail. We've got one on the belly. And that worked out really great. And it added some nice animation onto our model here. So thanks again for that, Ralph. We appreciate that. And then I want to mention a shout out also to Eric Hawkins, one of our viewers. He sent us this little 132 scale pilot figure, which if I turn this the right way, hope you guys can see it in there. If I get him the glare off of the canopy, you might not be able to see it too well. But he looks almost exactly like Roy Scheider. It's perfect, and He fit in there really nice. We had to modify his legs a little bit to get him to fit underneath of the dash, but we got that worked out. The flight suit and the helmet that he's wearing is identical to what Roy Scheider had in the movie. We painted it to match. We did the flight suit in the olive drab and the dark gray helmet. It even has the drop-down visor that goes over his eyes that we saw in the movie for the heads-up display in the Blue Thunder. And the only thing that was missing was the boom microphone that goes from the helmet, over his mouth. Well, when I looked at the model kit, the kit actually comes with a separate helmet all by itself, and lo and behold, it had that boom microphone on it. So I cut that off of there and glued it onto our guy here, and it looks absolutely spot on. So I'm really happy with that. And thanks again for sending that, Eric. I really appreciate that. We had to have a figure in there flying this thing if we were going to do it in flight, so that worked out great. Now, so what we've done here is we've done some lighting on this, like I talked about. So we're going to go ahead and fire this up here for you first. We'll turn our power on here. Now, I've got a really simple setup here. I've got a 9-volt rechargeable battery mounted in the base, and that's another reason I like to use these Polar Lights bases, because there's some room in there to do that, and also enough room to have a switch. So it's a really simple setup. It's all self-contained. Being that we're only using a few little LEDs and a couple SMDs to do our lighting on this, the 9-volt battery will last a long, long time. And it's a nice little rechargeable battery, so when it runs low, I just pull it out of there and recharge it and put it back in. But we've got our little, if you see that when I turn it off and on here, you can see we've got a little red navigation light here on the side. And then at the back, we've got our nice strobe lights that are working from our Tenna Controls board there. Now, the chopper in the film, these lights here at the tail were on all the time. They didn't blink. But I really like the blinking effect because it adds some nice little sort of animation onto it. And that's the way they're doing things on the more modern aircraft. They have a strobing effect. So that looks just fine. And then here on the bottom, on the belly, you can see we've got our red belly strobe, and we got that worked in. And so that turned out great. Now when we spin the model around here, we'll show you the other side, and you can see we've got the green marker light here on this side, on the that, like we saw in the movie. And if I can get this tilted just for you, just right here, hopefully you guys can see that. We've got our little computer display screen showing the readout there. If you guys, some of you old schoolers remember back in the early 80s, this movie was made in 1981. The early computers ran what they called a DOS operating system, so it was very simple. You just usually saw some lines of text. And the old monitors are what they call CRT type, so they usually had a black background with a green lines of text running across the screen, so that's how we decided to do this one. There were a couple of scenes in the movie where they were running some files and looking up some stuff, and you could see that in there, so we kind of copied that. But that worked out really great, and just a little green SMD in there to run that. And I built a little light box around it so it didn't leak light into the cockpit, and pretty easy to do. But like I said, overall, this is a really fun little model to work on, and it's it looks fairly accurate to the Blue Thunder. And there aren't a lot of Blue Thunder model kits out there. In fact, I think Kitech and Aoshima are the only two that I know of. There are a couple of die-cast models out there, already assembled, but they're really expensive if you look those up. So for 14 bucks, put a little time in on it, you can have yourself a nice little model here. And as I said, the issue with the canopy, some things on some kits are a little bit, take a little bit of extra time and effort, but you can definitely work your way around it. And you can get the best results you can. You just have to kind of work with that. That's modeling, and you just if you have an issue with something like that, don't get mad at the model. Just kind of keep working with it. If it's not working out for you, just kind of put it down, and then maybe come back later, and an idea will come into your mind as far as how to fix it. Or you can also utilize the tremendous amount of help that's out there from the forums and everything. There are a lot of modelers that'll help you with things like that. They might have a different perspective on it and give you an idea. And working two heads are better than one, as they say, and so you can come up with a solution. And like I said, for this little issue, the canopy, that's not a deal breaker on this kit at all. It's a great little kit, and I'm really, really happy with it. Okay, guys, I hope you've enjoyed seeing that. That's our Blue Thunder. We're gonna happily add that one onto the shelf there and have that next to the Airwolf that we built a few weeks ago. So that's gonna be pretty cool. All right, time to move on to our next segment. We'll be right back with that, everyone. All right, everyone. Well, here we are with a look at the AMT 124 scale 1974 Plymouth GTX. I picked this kit up, as I mentioned, at the Model Fiesta show number 35 here in San Antonio a couple weeks ago. One of the vendors there had a buy two kits and get a third kit for free. So I wound up buying two $10 kits and got this kit absolutely for nothing. So I'm really, really happy with it. It's a great little kit. It's not the most detailed kit in the world, but it's a great little representation of the 74 GTX. This was the last year that this particular body style was available. They went to a different lineup completely for 1975. Chrysler began to downsize and go to a lot of like economy type cars starting in 1975. So this was sort of the last of the true, if you want to call that, two-door muscle car, coupe type cars that Chrysler had for quite some time. And it was, by that time, by 1974, it was way down on horsepower. You could still get the big engine in the car, but with the emissions control systems and everything else, it was greatly reduced. But I decided to get this kit because I kind of always liked this particular body style. This car was also available in a Roadrunner, which was the same basic body with a little bit different markings and a little bit different trim on it. But so let's go ahead and take a look at the kit itself. It's in 1/25th scale, like I mentioned. There's a few pictures here on the box art of the assembled model. We've got the I'm not sure if this is a 440 or not. It could be a 400 cubic inch engine. I'm not exactly sure on that one. I didn't follow a lot of these cars once they got into the mid 70s, but it could still be a 440. But we've got a nice interior, and we've got the six-pack type air cleaner assembly on it and all that. Got a ram air type hood system on it here. And this kit on the box art kind of peculiar. It shows that it comes with Krager wheels, but as we'll see here when we look at the parts, there's no Kragers included with this. There's some different type wheels, but let's go ahead and take a look. And we'll take everything out of the bags here for you. I just kind of briefly looked through this real quick the other day, but I didn't take anything out of the plastic. But let's go ahead and do that here for you and show you what we've got. First, we take a look at the body here, and just kind of looking at it real quickly here. The mold looks pretty good. There's a seam line here up on the top of the C-pillars here, which is going to have to be sanded down. There's a little bit of swirling going on in the plastic, but nothing that's going to be a problem as far as raised where we're going to have to sand that down or anything. I do see a couple of pin molds here on the bottom where the glass attaches that are sort of just slightly sunken in here a little bit on the trunk, so we'll have to use a little bit of spot putty on that to fix that up. But overall, not a lot of flash or anything like that. Looks like the edges of the trim and everything are fairly well intact. Pretty decent mold there for the body, and again, nice looking body style. Last year of the sort of two-door coupe that was available from Chrysler. And let's pull the chrome sprue out here and check that out. As I mentioned, we don't see any Krager wheels here. What we do get are the stock rally type wheels, and we also get a set of center lines, which I probably will build this car kind of stock looking, I think. So I'll probably use these nice rally wheels because we can do some nice wash on that and bring out the detail of the slots and everything in there, and that should look pretty sharp. But you can see we've got all the little chrome parts here. We've got the six-pack set up. We've got the correct Carter type carburetor, actually Holley carburetors. They were used on the six-pack. We've got the rear bumper here with the Plymouth logo on that, the front bumper, chrome oil pan, chrome valve covers, sort of a aftermarket, almost like a Cal Custom type fancy gas pedal there. Just kind of looking around. Got the shifter here, got the turn signal indicator there. Trying to look and see what else we've got on this. Some really small stuff. Alternator, got a small little tachometer here, got a fuel cover. Looks like the either the starter or ignition coil, probably the starter that goes on the engine. Grill looks pretty decent. I never like it when they mold the headlight detail on there. You know, I'd much rather have it where they have the separate clear lenses that go on that. But you know, you can do a little bit of dulling those down with some Testors dull coat and stuff like that, and make them look a little bit more realistic. So we'll work with that. But there we have the chrome sprue. Let's open up this big bag here and see what we get. Looks like, just glancing at it, you get a couple options on the seats. So you can kind of build this thing up as a sort of a hot rod, it appears like, or a little bit of a, you know, stock type. You can see here that, let's look at this one first because this is interesting. You can see that we get the Daytona type spoiler here for the back, the Daytona Superbird type spoiler, which I don't think ever was available on this car's factory option, but might want to save that for something else we could be working on later. I don't think I'd put that on this car, but here we've got that really nice sort of cowl induction type raised hood with the cold air intake type setup on that, which looks pretty nice. Sometimes they'll have these cut out on the bottom for, you know, putting a blower through there, but this is all solid, and that looks pretty good. And here we've got the dashboard, which has really nice detail on it. You can see, if you look at it really close, you can see that they've got the little dash marks there on the gauges for your instrument panel and everything. So the radio detail, the heater controls, all that seems to be there. The vents for the AC, all that's there. We have the front lower valance here, inner wheels. I'll have to look and see what these are. These are grill inserts, I believe. Black grill inserts that we paint black. Here we have the standard factory type bucket seats. And here we've got the firewall with the master cylinder, and it does have some wiring in place here, which is kind of nice. I like it when they do include that. Don't see a ballast resistor on there. They may have gone away from that by 1974. I can't be sure on that. But here we see some parts for a roll bar that's included, so I'll save those parts for some project later on. Here we've got the radiator core support with the upper part of the radiator, the rear differential, which is an 8 3/4 with the leaf springs already attached to that. And here we have the engine block with the transmission. Looks like this is a 4-speed transmission, water pump assembly, separate battery, air cleaner. You've got the choice of a stock type air cleaner or the 6-pack setup here, 2 different intake manifolds, single 4-barrel or the 6-pack. The base of the air cleaner, we've got a little separate washer bottle here, the side mirrors, exhaust manifolds, upper radiator hose, cylinder heads. This could be the lower radiator hose, the belts. And here's the interior bucket with a sort of separate little bag here with the steering wheel. It's kind of strange they did that. Just had that kind of taped in place. But interior bucket looks pretty good. As I talked about when we did our review of the GTX kit last week, the 67 from AMT, this has the type of window cranks on there that I hate. These are just a couple of little lines that are barely raised on the surface here, which are not very realistic looking at all, so that's kind of disappointing. Center console detail is actually pretty nice. There's a little bit of texture on the top of that to simulate sort of the vinyl on the surface. Curiously, they have an automatic type setup in here with just a single brake, emergency brake, and gas pedal, even though the car has a 4-speed transmission in it, so that's kind of interesting. And here we see the chassis, and again they have this exhaust detail molded on here, which I can't stand it when they do that. I really hate that when they do that. Drive shaft molded in place, so this is almost like a curbside here. This is a real pretty lame bottom section here, but again, I'm not complaining for $10 on the kit. On the upper half of the model, when we get the body all painted real nice and everything, we can make up for that. But yeah, the lower half is a little bit lacking here. You can see molded in drive shaft, not much detail, no fuel lines, no brake lines, anything like that. Got the torsion bars here sort of already cast into this, K-member already in place. This area up here is all boxed in. It shouldn't look like that at all, but it is what it is, and we'll work with it. And here we've got an extra front air dam type, which actually was optional on these cars. I believe on the Roadrunner it came on that car. And then we have another filler panel here, probably for the rear. And then we have, finally, we have some bucket seats, some racing type seats with harnesses in there. So we'll save those for definitely for something that we're working on later. In fact, those would have been perfect for the 55 Chevy Gasser that I was working on a few weeks ago. These were the exact seats I was looking for. We've got them now, but we didn't have them then, unfortunately. I wound up using something else. But let's go ahead and look at these tires, which I'm seeing a nifty little surprise in here that I like. Here we have a nice set of stock type tires. We've got the axle for the rear, which is a metal axle. We'll have just plastic spindles for the front. But I'm seeing these really nice tires here. Let's see what these are. These are Goodyears. But I really like these because these are wide and nice and fat, and they have the tread on them. And believe it or not, finding tires like this in model kits is really getting hard to find. You know, they're not very wide, and they're most of the time don't have any tread on them. And so I'm going to hang on to these. These are great. I'll be using those for something for sure. But we've got the 4 stock type tires here, which I'll be using. Like I said, I'm going to build this one up kind of a stock look to it, I think. And and we've got a little clear red cast taillights for the car. And here is something that I noticed, which I thought was kind of odd. On the box art here, we see that we have the factory type GTX stripes here with the 440 on the hood and all that. And these are the decals that they give you with it. These are pretty wild, pretty ugly colors to begin with, but there's not a lot that I'll be able to use off of this as far as building this up box stock. So I'll probably have to make some kind of an attempt to paint some of that stuff on the car, which I may or may not do. We'll see. But you kind of hard to see here, but they've got it molded in, or printed in white here. It says Plymouth GTX. It's got the GTX logo, but it doesn't really show up very good. This black one here in the center is kind of interesting. That could go on the center part of the hood, which would look pretty cool. But these stripes are just but these colors just aren't for me, and I'm not sure I'll be doing anything with those. But that's kind of interesting. And I looked around to make sure that wasn't just the only thing you got, but that's it as far as the decals go. So some good things about the kit and some disappointing things about the kit. But all in all, like I said, for $10, I'm not going to complain. And this is probably a model that I wouldn't have gone out of my way to get, but being that it was basically free once I bought the 2 other kits, I'm happy with it, and we'll definitely give it our best shot here, and we build it up and try to make the most with whatever we've got, like usual. One more thing to show you here, just the glass. Kind of hard to see through all this thick plastic, but glass looks like it's in good shape. It's nice that they put this in a separate bag so it didn't get scuffed up. But it's got the usual kind of 2-bar connector here between the front and the rear, which sometimes that's kind of nice because you can glue that in place up here on the top and not worry about getting glue around the edges of the windows and staining them and stuff like that. So that's kind of nice. But we got one more little part in here hiding on us, guys. I almost threw it away. Let's check it out here. It's a little, we'll just pull it out of the bag. It's a little chrome steering wheel, kind of a custom steering wheel there. And we'll throw that in there and save that. But so we get a couple extra goodies with this that, heck, those were worth what I paid for these kits alone. I mean, like I said, these little racing seats right here, I wish I would have had those a couple of weeks ago. But we'll save them for something else. We might build something else that needs those or something similar to that a little bit further down the road. And we got a couple other sets of tires and some extra rims and stuff. So it's always great when they kind of give you these, 2-in-1 or 3-in-1 kits. So there you go, guys. There's a look at the AMT 74 Plymouth GTX. Kind of a interesting car, like I said, because it was a sort of a milestone for Chrysler, kind of the last of the breed, if you will. And so we'll have a lot of fun building this one up, and you guys will definitely get to see this done here on the show at some point in the future, probably in the next couple of months. Like I said, we're going to be tonight starting on the Mustang GT350R, the Shelby kit that we picked up by Monogram. I'm really excited to start on that one. That's a really nice little model, and we'll show you the beginning of that here coming up in the next segment. So you can expect to see that in just a couple seconds here, guys. We'll be right back with that. Stay tuned, and we'll see you then. Okay, back with you again, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the out-of-the-box kit review on the 74 GTX. I'm looking forward to building that one up here. We'll get to that one a little bit further down the road. I mentioned there in that segment that I'm going to start tonight on the Shelby GT 350R, the monogram kit in 1/24 scale. I won't have a lot of time tonight on the show here to get going too much into it because we'll run short on time. I've got a couple more segments we got to get in. But I'll just kind of give you guys a quick update here. I've got the body all prepped up on this. I've done all my preliminary sanding. There were some badges and things on the car that had to be removed. The little Mustang word on the side of the front fender and the little 289 V8 emblem up on the front part of the fender had to be sanded away because they weren't there on the Shelby model of the Mustang for that year. And what I've done is I've just gone around the entire body now and I've sanded down all of the molding, sharp edges of the mold, and just kind of scuffed the entire thing down now with one of my Scotch-Brite pads. So I've gone over all the edges on the hood and all the openings here to make sure that's all going to fit really good. So basically the body is pretty well prepped up and ready for primer now. I've been working on the wheels here a little bit for this. And we'll get into this a lot more for next week's show. We'll show you a lot more of an update on it, but I'll kind of hold these up to the camera here for you. We've got the nice magnesium part painted there in the center. We've got the lug nut detail painted, and the edges being sort of a more polished look. And we've got that done on all four. The wheels that came with this kit are really nice, and they are the correct wheels for this. I was kind of looking at the center cap on those and wondered why it was flat, but when you look at the original Shelby wheels, that's exactly how they were. And then I've gone on and glued the two halves of the engine block together. I'm letting that dry right now, and I'll start doing the putty work on those seams. And then I'm going to start building up the chassis, and that's what you guys will see during next week's segment. And also we're going to start on the little Nelly kit there that I mentioned at the top of the show. We're going to start building that one, that little auto gyro kit from the classic James Bond film. So that one's going to be a lot of fun. That one's in 1/24 scale. And that one's cool because it comes with a little James Bond figure with it too, which is really, really neat. A little Sean Connery flying the thing. So, okay guys, on to the next segment now. This one's going to be a from the archives. It's a older TrekWorks video that some of you guys might not have seen. It's going back from about 2 years ago. I did a little kind of on the bench session talking about using LEDs and getting into some of the specific details about using matching up resistors with the LEDs, how to do the soldering, using some different types of electronic equipment to set up your circuits, and kind of talked about incorporating those and building circuits for specifically model starships. So I think some of you new people out there will find it pretty interesting, and hopefully you'll find it useful for your when you get into doing some of this type of work. So we'll show you that, and then we're going to come back with our little surprise project that I wanted to share with you guys that I talked about at the beginning as well. So enjoy the vintage, I guess it's vintage now, video, and we'll be back after that with our final segment, guys. Enjoy. We'll see you after that.
Hello there, TrekWorks with you again. Well, today I'm going to show you guys a little bit about some of the stuff that I use for doing the lighting and wiring on some of these model kits that I've been building, and just go over some of the basics about how to use wires, LEDs, resistors, things like that, and give you an idea of what it takes to light some of these things. Now, what I'm showing first here is a couple of different types of wire that are available, and one of the really good ones that I like to use is this wire here called magnet wire. It's approximately 30 gauge. It's got a plastic coating on there, and it's very, very thin and flexible, and it can fit into really tight spaces in some of those models. And I did a little review on it earlier and showed you some of the principles of it, but that's one of the type of the wires that's out there. When you go to do your soldering on this wire, there's no stripping required because just the heat from the solder gun will melt down this covering that's on here, and it will give you the bare wire, and you can tin that and then solder it to your bulb or to your connection or whatever you're working with, and it makes a really good bond, and it's just really simple to work with. The other type of wire is your standard wire. This is about 20 gauge wire here. I use basically red and black for positive and negative throughout the model. And one of the things that I like to use is this handy dandy stripper right here. Now there are different kinds of wire strippers that are available on the market, your standard, you know, squeeze and pull type. I really like this type because it actually automatically adapts to the size of the wire that you're stripping, and in just one quick motion like this you have your wire stripped. It also has a cutter on the bottom side here on the edge, so if you're cutting wire, you're simple as that. Now I'm going to show you a little bit about preparing the wire. Let's just take a length of wire here and say we're going to use this wire this into the model or make a connection with it. We'll strip both ends here, and then what we're going to do next is basically we're going to tin this wire with a little bit of solder. And if you don't have one of these here, get yourself a set of these. This is called a helping hand or extra pair of hands, made by X-Acto. This thing's fully adjustable with these little alligator clamps on here. You can use this from everything from doing this wiring that I'm going to show to holding parts for painting and all kinds of different things. So it's around $20 at a hobby store. It can be found elsewhere, but it's a really handy little tool. So I'm going to stick this wire in here like this, and my solder iron's already warmed up. I'll bring this solder iron into the picture for you here too. One of the things that I use for my solder iron is I keep a wet sponge, and in between each little job that I do or connection that I make, you just lightly wipe your tip on the sponge there, and if you can see in the video here, it's really clean and nice and shiny and bright. It gets rid of all the debris. Solder doesn't like any kind of debris or anything mixed in with it for a good connection. And the solder that I like to use for this basic wiring of this type is what's called 60-40 rosin core solder. That means it's 60% solder and 40% rosin. And what that does is the rosin promotes the bond to make the solder stick to the wire as it heats and bond to it properly. And so you can do it separately with just straight solder, and you can buy separate resin that you brush on or dip your wire in the resin, the rosin, and get that bond on there before you solder. But this is already built in, and it works really simple. You just basically heat your wire up here. I like to do it from the bottom side to make sure when my heat's built up enough so that the solder will penetrate all the way through. And you just barely put a little bit on there. Maybe move your solder iron back and forth a little bit just to make sure that that wire is completely coated on the top and the bottom. And you can see we've got a nice tin, what we call a pre-connection there, a tin on the wire, so that the wire is prepped. When we solder additional solder onto this to our connection, it will make a bond instantly. And so that's what's called tinning wire. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to come back and I'm going to set up my breadboard here, and I'm going to set up my power supply and show you how we go about wiring some of these LEDs, and how to choose the proper resistor and some of the different circuits that are available for that. So we'll be right back in a second. Alright, we're back again to show you some basic components of LED lighting for model starships. And one of the things that I like to start off with, and I'll talk to you about, is the basic types of LEDs that are out there. We've got our standard LED, which a lot of you are familiar with. It's just a single bulb available in many different colors. This one happens to be green, and different sizes and shapes as well. You'll see some of these being round like this one. Some are square, some are rectangular, some are more button type. But the basic configuration of LEDs is the same except for the lens here. Now you can see that if you look up close at one of these, there's just kind of an inner little diode in there. It's a light emitting diode, and the rest of this whole area here is just kind of the casing that it's sitting in. So if you're doing some small work on some of these starships, you can actually grind some of this down with a Dremel tool, or sand it down by hand, or file it down to make it smaller, as long as you don't actually get to the point where you grind down too far and touch that inner mechanism in there, that diode, and destroy that to where it won't light. But you can take these down a little bit, and these are available in different sizes. This one's a 5mm. There are some that are smaller, 3mm, 1mm, all the way up to 10mm, which are quite large, and in different intensities. And one of the important things to remember about an LED is that you cannot overvolt these. They require a minimum amount of voltage to light, which in most cases is 2.2 volts DC. By that I mean it requires a minimum of 2.5 volts to make this even light up. So It's not like a standard bulb when say your batteries are going dead in your flashlight. When it gets down to a certain point, that it will just get very, very dim, but you'll still see it. These will actually just cut completely off once the voltage is below 2.5 volts. And then there's also an amperage limit, and on most LEDs, there are variances on some of them, but most LEDs it's 20 milliamps, so you don't want to exceed 20 milliamps as far as the amperage that's going through this thing, or it will burn it out. Running these at too much voltage and too much amperage will definitely cook them, and you'll notice it when you hook it up. It'll be extremely bright, and it won't last but a matter of an hour or even less, and it'll be gone. So that's where this little guy right here comes in. This is a resistor. This limits the amount of voltage that can reach the bulb once it's hooked up to a circuit. Now, I just mentioned I'm using that little DC power supply, and for example, if I was running it at 9 volts and I wanted to find out what type of a resistor I need to connect to this light to make sure I don't burn it out, there's a little formula for that. So what you want to do is you want to start off with your battery voltage, which in this case would be 9 volts, and then we want to find out what our forwarding voltage is on our LED, which means that what I just mentioned, the minimum voltage it takes to light this up, which is 2.2 volts, okay, DC. So the formula for that is to take your battery voltage, which is 9 volts, and subtract the 2.2 volts, which leaves us with 6.8. All right, and then you want to take that 6.8 and divide that now by the amperage limit that these bulbs are rated at. In this case, it's 20 milliamps. So we want to take 6.8 and divide that by 0.02 on your calculator, and you'll come up with a number of 340. Now that will be your value of your resistor. Well, when you look at standard resistor values, you'll see that there is no 340. So in the case when you come up with a number that's not standard on a resistor chart, you want to always go up to the next closest one. So the next closest one available is a 390 ohm resistor. So that would be the correct resistor to use, running it at 9 volts DC to make this bulb right in its normal operating range. Now you can play with that up or down just slightly on your resistor to maybe get an effect of making the bulb just a slightly little bit brighter or a slightly little bit dimmer if you're doing some special lighting of some kind. But just to standardly light the bulb in its kind of medium to medium bright appearance, normal appearance, you want to go with the recommended resistor. Now, one of the things that I want to point out too is that the resistors are pretty much standard for, this is considered a low voltage system, so a 1/4 watt carbon type resistor is what you're going to want to start with. So if you walk into Radio Shack, you're going to say, yes, I need a 1/4 watt carbon resistor valued at whatever your formula has given you for the value of the resistance that you need against that LED. And I'm going to go into a little bit about completing a circuit here in a minute and tell you how to do multiple LEDs and resistors and things like that and how we figure that out. But here's another product that's out there, and this is called LED tape. Now the nice benefit to this is that you can see here we've got a single connection on the end of this, and this single connection will light this entire strip. Now you can get these in strips, I don't even know how long they go, but you can get them in quite long lengths. And these are divided into sections of 3, so there's 3 bulbs on each section. And you are able to cut this, so if you want to light a smaller area, you can cut this down and you can make just these individual lighted areas, or you can light an overall area such as the circumference of a saucer on a starship, the lower hull, inside the warp nacelles, whatever you choose to do. These are available in several different colors as well, and different brightnesses and different warmths as far as bright warm or cool warm, or however you want to call it. But one of the important things to mention about this is whenever you decide to cut this, you want to always make sure that you cut this right along where one of these connectors are. If you don't do that, if you happen to cut somewhere in the middle of that, you're going to cut off part of the circuit, and the resistor will no longer be able to control it, and you'll have a bulb there, or possibly a whole section that won't even light. So that's one of the things you want to be aware of. What I want to show you now is I'm going to go ahead and light this for you. I've got my power supply set up at 7.5 volts. The LED tape requires a little bit more voltage to run than your standard LED. You can run your standard LED all the way down to 3 volts, but these require a minimum of 7 before they'll even fire. That's due to the resistors that they have in there. And so I've got my power supply plugged in, and that's plugged into my little breadboard here. I get these breadboards at Radio Shack. This is just a little board here with multiple plug-ins designed to be able to plug chips or different types of wiring into this. so you can do testing on a circuit before you actually assemble the whole thing and solder it all. So it's a really handy tool to have. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hook this up. I've got it plugged in and I'm running at 7.5 volts. And one of the other tools I use here is this digital voltmeter. I've got it set up right now to read at 20 volts DC, so anything under 20 volts it's going to pick it up. And I just always like to check my my polarity to make sure that I'm positive to positive and negative to negative on my entire circuits. And we can see here I'm lighting this up at 7.6 volts. And if I head it backwards like this, you'll see the little negative sign appear there in the window, which tells me I've got this backwards. As you progress when you're soldering your circuit together, you always want to periodically go in and test that to make sure that you have this right, so that you don't accidentally cross something and have half of the thing dead when you go to glue the whole model shut, or at the very end when you don't want to find out you have a problem. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just basically plug this in, running at 7.5 volts, and in this case we don't need a resistor in between because we've got internal resistors built into this this LED tape already, and you can see it's really nice stuff. It has a nice even glow, it lights up nice and even, and it will light up a really nice wide area too. Again, you can get this in long strips, and with the tape on the back side you can mount it to things. Some of the models I've done have actually made little brackets and things to set this on. Say for example, if you wanted to do it in the middle of a fuselage or a lower hull of a starship, you could make yourself a little piece of using some sheet styrene, a little kind of tray that this sits in the bottom, and stick this to it, and it will light up kind of, or maybe one on each side of it, and it'll light up both sides of that, the window sections of your ship really nice and even. So it's a really handy kind of thing to have. And but again, it doesn't work in really small areas where you may want to apply something like a single LED, where you've just got a little flashing unit, or you've got one single area that's supposed to be lit. So they both have their uses. Now, getting back to this LED, there are different types of circuits that you can do with this, and the first one I want to talk about here is a what's called a series circuit. And the series circuit basically allows you to take, for example, and take these LEDs and wire them together in a group. And you start off basically bringing your positive side up to your LED with your resistor in between, and your value of your resistor. To get that formula, it's a little bit different. I'll talk about that in a second. But you're jumping from bringing it in on the plus side on the first one, and then you're connecting. You're coming with your current through the bulb and out on the negative side. The negative side then connects to the positive side of the next bulb. Power goes through that, out, back to the positive side of the next bulb, and then out the negative side, and then back around finally to your negative side of your battery or your power source, and you have a completed circuit. And in that particular setup, only one resistor is required, and there's a little bit different formula for that. So basically what you have to do is you have to figure out how many bulbs are being used in your circuit, and you multiply that number that we talked about a minute ago, which is the forwarding voltage of this bulb. In this case, normal forwarding voltage on most LEDs is 2.2 volts. So you want to make sure that you go and say we're going to use 3 LEDs, you want to go 2.2 times 3, which is 6.6, and then you'd subtract that from your 9 volts that we started off with, and that would give us 240. Okay, so then you'd round that up to your next highest resistor, and that would give you the proper resistor value for making these bulbs be supplied with the correct amount of current. So, and again, only one resistor is required for this type of a setup. The drawback to this type of a circuit, a series circuit like that, is that if you have one bulb failure in any part of that chain, the whole thing's not going to work. It basically breaks the circuit. And it also limits you as far as you cannot exceed, in that particular setup, you cannot exceed your input voltage. So we just came up with that number of 2.2 times 3, which was 6.6. We could probably get, with a 9-volt battery, we could probably get one more bulb in there, which would bring it up to, that would be 8.8. And then you could see that one more bulb beyond that would be above the voltage that the power supply is giving us, so then we would not be able to light the bulbs. So with on a circuit like that, you're looking at four bulbs maximum of that, with that type of power coming in, and that's the limit for that. Now the second one I want to talk about is what's called a parallel circuit. The nice thing about the parallel circuit is that it allows you to run as many bulbs as you want, but you're going to use more resistors since each bulb will be required to have a resistor on it in the circuit. And basically how that circuit works is you're coming up with power. Your plus side will go to a resistor, and then you'll connect that resistor directly to the plus of the LED, and then the negative will go back to your battery source or your power source, and each one of these connects individually to the you can bring a power wire up, and you can connect that to each one of these LED plus sides to that main power wire coming up. But you've got to make sure that you've got a resistor in between on each one. So each bulb will require a resistor, and that goes back to the formula we started off talking with, and that is that you figure out the resistor value for a single bulb, which we came up with before, which was 390 ohm. In this case, we're using 9 volts. So you're seeing that we're now, and in this particular case, we can connect as many LEDs as we want, basically until we would overconsume what the milliamp rating of that power supply is. But like I said, 1700 milliamps. We're drawing less than 20 milliamps on these bulbs, so you can think about how much. That's quite a few LEDs that you could hook up to a 1700 milliamp power supply. And the beauty to this also is that if any of these bulbs fail or something happens to your part of your circuit here, you've got power going to each one of these individually, and all the rest of the stuff is going to stay lit. If you're using this in a battery situation, it will light, but the battery will be consumed much faster because you're drawing just overall more current setting it up like this. Setting it up in series like I showed you allows your battery to last a little longer, but it limits you to how many LEDs you can have, because you cannot exceed with the number of LEDs in that series circuit, you can't exceed what the input voltage is, or you won't be able to light it. This is a switch. This is a basic switch that I use. You've seen it on some of my model kits that I've done where I mount them on my little stand, and I've been asked about how to wire these up. Some of you guys are beginners at wiring, and basically what you're looking at on this switch is that you're just interrupting either the plus or the minus power coming in. So you've got a plus and a minus, and so what you'd want to do is, for example, I've got my plus coming in for my power supply. I want to run one side of the plus to this pole, and the other side of another wire coming off this to my circuit, so that basically when I have this button shut like this, which means that this circuit is closed, that means current can flow through it, and it's just basically going straight through as if a whole complete wire was there. When I release this button and open the circuit, it cuts off this flow here, and so the lights go out, and you're basically just interrupting the current flow. And you can do that on either the plus or the minus side of the circuit. It doesn't matter which. It will just interrupt the power there, and it'll either turn your lights on or shut them off. So it's very simple on wiring up a switch. Alright, so what I've done is I've set my power supply down to 4.5 volts now, and I'm going to set this little circuit up here for you. Again, talking about these LEDs, you've got your anode here at the top, which is your positive side, and your cathode, which is your negative. I'm going to go ahead and plug in the negative, which is the shorter of the two, on the negative side of this little strip here. And leaving the positive one up in the air like that, I'm going to go ahead and connect this resistor onto the positive side. And I'm just kind of twisting it on here, so it'll just hold for a second. And then I'm just going to stick this into the positive side. And presto, you can see we've got a lit LED working in the proper range. It's lighting just right. It's not too bright, it's not too dim. Set up with the proper resistor, the LED will last, I mean, a long, long time, thousands of hours. So it's just a really, really simple formula, but it puts you right in the ballpark of where you need to be on your LEDs. Having LEDs that are over too much current going to them, they'll look nice and bright, but as I said, you can get your entire model put together and then find out a couple days later that it's going to burn out on you. So just kind of stay within that limit. Just go to the next one up to be on the safe side. Like I said, if you come up with 340 and you notice that there's not a 340 ohm resistor, you go to the next available one on the upside, which in this case would be 390 on the 9-volt circuit that we talked about. So there you have it. That's basic LED 101. There are some other more advanced things out there for getting LEDs to blink and things like that. There are little timer chips available. If you search around YouTube a little bit, look up the 555 timer, and you'll see that there are little timers that you can set up on this with capacitors and resistors and things that'll give you the different effects that you want for, say, your flashing strobe lights, your blinking nav lights, how to dim some lighting. You can actually dim dimming an LED. The proper way to do that is not to reduce the voltage to it. The proper way to dim an LED is to basically flicker the current going to it at a kind of the higher you cycle it, the brighter it is. The lower you cycle it, the dimmer it will appear. So there are chips that are out there to actually cycle this bulb so fast the human eye can't detect it, but it makes the bulb appear dimmer. So there are different methods out there for doing that, but this is just the basics for lighting. Again, using that parallel method that I talked about, where you can connect multiple LEDs. You can basically put as many LEDs as you want inside your model, just making sure you got the proper resistor connected to each one, and you'll be able to do all the lighting you want, and it should work properly for you. And then connect your switch. You can do a lot of little fun things, like maybe connect your warp engines on one circuit, where you can individually switch those on and off. Do all your hall lighting on another circuit, put the switches in between. You can shut off the others, like I showed you kind of what I did on the Enterprise C. So there you have it, LED 101. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or anything, if I can answer them, go ahead and feel free to send me a message on the video board there, and appreciate all the followers, and hope this information helps you out there. So until we see you again, happy modeling.
Okay, everybody, back with you again, and I hope you enjoyed the vintage from the vaults TrekWorks video there, going through some basics of LED lighting and wiring and making circuits and working with resistors and that kind of thing. I've got quite a few more of those that will play in some upcoming segments here on the show, and for those of you who have not seen those before and are new to doing that type of thing, and hopefully you can find that useful. That video has been pretty popular. I was just watching the video at the same time and going in the chat group there while we were watching it and commenting about how a lot of things have changed since I made that video. I guess it's about 3 years ago now that I made it, when I looked at the date on it. And we've come a long way here in the shop since then. Kind of sounded like I was in an echo chamber there a little bit, but we had a lot of fun with that. So I hope you enjoyed that. We've got a cool little, nifty little thing we've been working on here. One of my good friends from the modeling community, Cal Sweet, who does a lot of really unique and interesting things with his builds, kind of passed along a little project that he's been working on, and asked me to help him out with doing some lighting on it and some work on a sound system for it to create some dialogue that he wanted to have go with that. So we're going to take a look at that right now, and then we're going to come back after that and wrap things up and head over to our Q&A and our shout-outs for tonight. So enjoy this final little segment, guys, and we'll be right back after that. Here we go. All right, everybody. Well, I wanted to show you guys something really cool that I've been working on. This is the Colossus of New York figure that's being built by Calvin Sweet. If you guys remember, a couple months ago, Calvin sent me the first figure that he built of this, and I'm really happy to have it in my collection. I showed it on the show. It's one of my favorite movies, and it was sort of a modern twist on the classic Frankenstein story. Great film. And so what Calvin's doing now is he's working on a second one here for himself. And this one's really cool because he's decided to go ahead and animate this thing. And what he did here is he picked up this little animated witch figure off of eBay, and he's heavily modified it here, and he's taken it all apart and redesigned it, and he's created the figure of the Colossus here. He's hand sculpted the head. He's created the lit up eyes in there. Well, they weren't lit, but I lit it for him, but he molded the little eyes in there, made to be lit, and I wound up putting a little 5mm white LED in there to get the eye lighting effect that we saw in the film, that they sort of lit up in sync with when he was talking. So that turned out really cool. Now keep in mind, he's going to, when he finishes this up, he's going to put his whole costume on him. It's just the skeleton basically here. But so Calvin sent this to me so that I could do the lighting on it and then set up a soundboard. I'm using one of our TrekWorks signature soundboards in this. We mounted it inside this base that Calvin made here. So I did that, and I installed these two push buttons on it for him. And we have the first button here on the left, which goes through a bunch of the dialogue that Calvin picked out from the movie with specific things that the character was saying in the film. And so we have that going on, and we'll try that out for you in just a second. The second button here activates what we call the death ray. Towards the end of the movie, the character Jeremy, he makes his way over to the UN building where he decides to destroy a bunch of the scientists that are there, because he basically loses his mind after he's been inside this body for a while, and it drives him insane. So he decides to start killing everybody, and he's firing this death ray at the end, and he sort of makes this pivoting back and forth action when he's firing the death ray. So Calvin's got this animated motor and gears and everything in here, and he actually, the upper half of his torso will pivot back and forth. So we have the death ray that'll work at the same time as that, and it's a really cool effect. It looks just like it did in the movie. So I'm going to start out here first, guys, and play the dialogue, and you'll see the light up sequence with his eyes that works in sync with his voice. So let's check that out first.
Okay, there you go, guys. There's the dialogue. He's pretty creeped out there. And so what we have now is we have Calvin's got a separate little slider switch here in the back that's sort of underneath of the base here that you activate to activate the motor motion. So I'm going to go ahead and do that here. And it's kind of hard to get to. I think he's going to relocate this to make this a little bit easier to get, but I'll go ahead and turn it on for you. There we go. You can see he does this nice pivoting back and forth motion. Now you can hear the motor a little bit here, but once he gets the costume and everything all put on it, it's going to sound insulate that a little bit better and you won't be able to hear that as much. So that'll work out really good. But here we'll activate the death ray at the same time as he's pivoting, and you'll see what we were talking about in the scene at the end of the movie here. Here we go. There you go, and you can repeat this as many times as you want. Alright, that's pretty awesome, guys, and I'm sure Calvin will, I'll shut this back off. I'm sure Calvin will show this to everybody once it's all done, but I think it's a really, really cool idea, and really happy to help him out with getting the sound and the lighting going on this thing. So pretty neat display when it's all done. I wish mine was lit up and animated the same way. Really, really cool. But there you go, guys. Just thought we'd share that with you. A little fun little project we worked on here. And again, one of my favorite movies, and it's really neat to see this thing working just like Calvin's plan was there in the very beginning. Okay, guys, that's it for this one. We'll come back and head over to our next little segment here on the show. See you in just a couple seconds, everyone.
Okay, guys, back with you again. Well, how about that, everybody? That was a pretty neat little deal. I've already got that boxed up and sent back on its way back to Cal, like I said. So hopefully, when he gets the Colossus figure all put together and the rest of the costume put on it and everything and all tidied up, he'll make a nice video and share that with us, because I think that's a really neat little project. I had a lot of fun working on that. It's one of my personal favorites. Cal sent me a static figure that he built of that a while back that I showed you guys, and I've got that in my model display room, and I really like that. Colossus of New York scared the heck out of me when I was a kid when I saw that movie, and I always thought it was really interesting, and so that was a lot of fun. Well, it's time to head over to our shout-outs and our Q&A for tonight, guys. I hope you enjoyed the show. Kind of a little short show tonight, but we kind of were busy with a lot of things in the shop this week, but We'll head over there now and see what you guys are talking about, and had a great time talking with you guys in the chat session so far tonight. Head up to the top here and call out the people who are here with us live. Let's see, we got Eric Hawkins with us tonight, Chuck Brooks, Leona Timber Company, Alpha Trion 92. Let's see, Tagamo Model Works, Tags with us tonight. Trekworks is in here with us tonight. I wonder who that guy is. Never heard of him. Donuts in Space, Eric Hawkins, Heath Tompkins, all the way from Australia. Nice to see you, Heath. Modeler X, Mike Kovac is here. Federation Shipyard. Nice to see you, Dennis. George Volkowski, he's tuning into the show. He's here just about every week. Nice to see you, George. Brian Knowles, nice to see you, Brian. Leona Timber Company, Jamie Shiner, Steve Baker, Mark Shue, the Captain. James Schulenberg's here with us tonight. He's another regular. John Petrie's here with us tonight. We were talking to John a little bit there during the chat session. Hope everybody stops by and checks out John's pictures that he's been posting. John's been working for just about, I guess about almost a year now, John. You might have to correct me if I'm wrong, but he's been working on a beautiful 1/350 scale Enterprise refit, and he's just posted some pictures of the Aztecing work he did on the saucer, and it's absolutely beautiful. And that's a big achievement, John. Be proud of yourself. That's a lot of work. I know all about that, and you've got it really looking nice. So drop by John's thread there on our Google Model Shop Google page and give him a nice thumbs up. Show him how much we appreciate the work and him sharing it with us. Got Red Shirt Forever with us tonight. I think Red Shirt was the, he got the pole position. He was the first one in the chat session tonight. Donuts in Space. Rocket Boy 1969, nice to see you with us tonight. Bill Tilley's here. I want to say again, Bill, thanks for the posting those pictures of the Blue Thunder. That helped me out a lot over on the Google page. I used a lot of those pictures in the reference for our build. Some of you guys, I noticed during the chat session, they made it in here a little bit late, so we'll show you the Blue Thunder again. We'll just turn on the got the switch in the wrong spot there. There we go. Got the lighting going on our Blue Thunder now. Got that one all finished up. You guys can go back and watch a rewind of the show and see the we did a little segment on this at the beginning. Had a lot of fun building this kit, and thanks for all the suggestions that everybody had and tips and everything that we had on that. And those pictures were a big help for getting the colors right on the model and everything. And thanks again, Eric. I see you're here tonight for sending us the pilot figure. We really appreciate that. That made a nice addition to the interior of the cockpit. We had a lot of fun with that. Let's see, going down the list here. See if I see any new people punching in here. Country Woods 9000, nice to see you, Country. Nice group of folks on tonight, and like I say every week, guys, if you get a chance and you can join in on the show live. A couple of you have written in and asked about how to do that. I'll explain that really quick. The show comes on every Sunday night at 6 o'clock p.m. USA Central Time, and you just simply go over to the Trekworks YouTube channel and you click on the playlist there, and you'll see the upcoming event if you get in a few minutes ahead of time. And you'll see a button there once you log into that, and it'll say Join Chat Session. You just click that button, and it'll bring up the video, and it'll have a scrolling chat session going on the right side of your screen, and you just type something in there at the bottom and hit the enter key, and you can join in the chat discussion that's going on. We've got a group of about 40 or 50 people every week that join in on the live chat session, and so we have a lot of fun with that. And people are in there talking about their current builds and answering questions and just having a lot of fun. So it's a lot of fun to get in on that and be part of the live show. But if you can miss the live show, you can always go back and watch it on replay on the TrekWorks YouTube channel, and we appreciate that. See a couple more people checking in here. We've got the Swedish Dr. Plastic. Nice to have you on with us again this week. Looks like you guys got a kick out of the Colossus. Yeah, that's really cool. Like I said, Cal has a really great imagination. He's always coming up with some cool stuff, and he's really good at making something out of nothing. He's really great at that. I thought that idea of using that animated figure, he did a lot of modifying on that to get it to work right, and it came out great. Sean McClure is here with us tonight. Nice to see you, Sean. I've got DeWitt Chainline with us tonight, SF Modeler. Nice to see you, DeWitt. Gary M. is here with us. Gary says the Colossus is like him in the morning before coffee. Roger Ball, nice to see you check in with us tonight, Roger. Oh, we see Chris at Classic Plastic just stopped in. Nice to see you tonight, Chris. Chris has got some, as usual, got some great builds going on his channel, Classic Plastic 101. Make sure you stop by and check that out. And I followed some of Chris's advice on the Blue Thunder build. He talked about the issues with the canopy and things like that. And I basically had the same issues with my kit, so pretty much all the kits out there are going to be the same. Like I mentioned, you got to do a little bit of messing around to get it to fit, and you've got to polish out the glass. I think it's everybody that's done a review of the kit that I've seen on YouTube or pictures of it that I've seen, the glass is sort of foggy when you get it. I think it's the mold process that they're using over at Kitech that's causing that, but it's easily fixed with a little bit of polishing compound, and if it doesn't come out clear enough when you do that, you can apply some future floor wax on that, and it'll clear that right up and make it look, clear enough where you can see into the canopy really good. So like I said in the little segment there at the beginning, don't let that little canopy issue stop you from getting one of those kits. It's a great little model kit, especially for $14 shipped to your door. That's not bad at all. We've got Slappy Milk Toast that's checked in. I haven't seen him in a while. We've got Ralph with Tenna Controls is here tonight. Nice to see you, Ralph. And I said at the beginning there, but thanks again for sending us the aircraft board that we used in the kit. It turned out really nice and it worked perfect for the Blue Thunder here. I hope you guys will use one of those boards in the future if you're going to light an aircraft or something like that. You could use it on starships too. It's got some nice. You can kind of combine all the different strobing effects that it has. He's got the double strobe going on, and he's got the single pulsing strobe. He's got the navigation lights that can be hooked up that are constantly on. So it's a really great little board, nice and small too. You can fit it in just about anything. So that worked out perfect. We've got Outsider 238 here that's just checked in. Shannon Freeman's here with us. Adam Corville is here, Triskelion. Nice to see you tonight, Adam. Been hanging out with Adam a few times the last couple weeks on Uvu and talking with him. He's building a beautiful 22-inch Eagle kit, the new one from MPC. Doing some wonderful lighting on that and doing some updates on that over at the Sci-Fi Model Action. He's got a nice build thread going on at the Sci-Fi Model Action forums. Mark Shue is asking, what is Uvu? Mark, it's a video chat program. It's a free program that's out there. It's spelled OVOO, all one word, all the letters all together, and it's similar to the Google Chat, but it works quite a bit better, I think. It allows a few more people to get in there. It's easier to use, and it seems to be. It has its issues too. It fades out every once in a while. But the video and the audio quality is quite a bit better than Google Plus video. It's kind of like Skype, if you've ever heard of Skype. And you basically just sign up for it, and you get a free account, put your name in there, and then you make your contacts, and then whenever somebody's online, it will show you when you pull it up if there's somebody online that you want to chat with, and you just it's like making a phone call. You just hit the little button there, and you'll hear like the sound of a phone ringing, and then they'll pick up, and you're in an instant video chat session with. We've been using that quite a bit instead of Google, because a lot of people have problems with Google where the picture looks really bad and the sound doesn't sound very good either. It kind of cuts out, but like I said, Uvu's not perfect either, but it seems to be a little bit more stable and user-friendly than the Google Plus one is. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to run through here and see if there's any questions about anything. We've got a couple people that are checking out. Thanks for tuning in with us tonight, guys. We'll see you next week. Yeah, did a nice, we mentioned Chuck Brooks last week is doing a papercraft model of the Voyager 1, which he's turning it into the Voyager from Star Trek The Motion Picture. So, yeah, make sure you stop by the Google page and check out Chuck's thread there. We've got a couple of great paper model builders here. We've got Chuck and we've got e-biker James Frost, who does a lot of papercraft modeling. He's currently building a papercraft Sherman tank, which he's been posting some pictures of it. And I swear, when you look at the model, you can't even tell it's a paper model. I mean, it's just outstanding. And him and Chuck are really active in that area. You guys might be surprised at how well these can turn out if you just put a little time and effort into it. They get so close to where you can't even tell it apart from a regular plastic model kit. That's really impressive. Yeah, if you guys get a chance, check out that classic movie, The Colossus of New York. It's on YouTube. There's a copy of it on YouTube complete with no commercials in it or anything. It's a, it's an older movie, so you're not going to see the most modern special effects in it, but it's a great movie. It was at the time it was sort of a modern twist on the Frankenstein story, where this scientist who's unfortunately killed in an accident. His father, who's also a brilliant scientist, basically preserves his brain and puts it inside of this giant mechanical robot body, which that was the most impressive part about the movie. I mean, he just looked really menacing and sinister looking, and he slowly, deteriorates from there, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. And it's just a great classic movie. I think you'll enjoy it if you give it a chance. I saw it probably 35 or 40 years ago, and it stuck with me all this time. I really thought it was cool. Yeah, everybody's talking about the time change that we had here. That's the most annoying thing. If they could do one thing in Congress, I wish that's what they would do, is get rid of that darn thing. It just screws everybody up, and I've saw stuff, articles written about it and everything, and it winds up costing a lot of money too. All the companies and everything that have to make the switch and all that. It's just kind of a pain in the butt. I think it's kind of a thing of the past. Wouldn't bother me at all if they got rid of it. I think some states, there are a couple of states that don't use it. I think Arizona is one of them. They don't change their time. I don't remember the other ones, but I know for sure Arizona doesn't. Got a question from Modeler X. That's Gary Hall, by the way, guys. Gary's a regular here on the show, and he just created a brand new YouTube channel, and he's going to be starting to put out videos, so I'm really glad to hear that, Gary, and I hope you do well with it. Looking forward to seeing what you put up there. Gary's asking about, he can't seem to get Speedhecker in his area. Do you think lacquer poly transpar Pearl Series White would be a suitable base color for the 350 refit? Well, you can go with whatever you want there on your base color, Gary. I don't think the original refit had a pearlescent base on it. It was just the Aztecs that were done in pearl, but if you want to go with that, that'll look really good. A lot of people, what they choose to do is they go with the pearl, white pearl base color on that if they're just going to go ahead and use the decal sheet that comes with the model kit and not paint on the Aztecs, because that kind of makes those pop a little bit more. That's an option that you have. Otherwise, I believe it was just a straight satin white, semi-gloss white. Not a pure white. It's got a little bit of black mixed in with it. It's an off-white, but it's your model, so you can do it any way you want. I think that would look really good. Gary M is asking about any weight limit on the swivel head thing you used on the Blue Thunder. Yeah, there's definitely a weight limit to it. I mean, it will support quite a bit. Now, it's going to make a difference, Gary, depending on where the weight is centered on the model too. Like this little model here, it's balanced pretty well, and I kept the circuit board in the center, right behind the cockpit. So, but if you have something that's kind of heavy in the nose or heavy in the tail, it's going to want to tilt that way. Now, one little trick you can do that I've actually done on this swivel head that I've used in the past is to make it a little bit tighter. I just went in and put a couple of drops of CA glue on the round part of it and let it dry, and then I took some sandpaper and kind of scuffed it up a little bit and then snapped it back into the socket, and that seemed to make it fit a little bit tighter. And on a heavier model, like I think I had the Enterprise B from round 2 that I built and mounted on one of those, and because it wanted to keep nosing down, over a period of time. If you let it sit for a few days, you'd come back and look, and it'd be starting to tilt. Well, after I did that, it solved that problem, but that was just one of those cases, like I said, where the front end of that model was kind of heavy. If you had the weight centered towards the center, or they, like on an airplane, they call it the CG, center of gravity, it won't affect it as much. And it would support quite a bit of weight. You could actually put a, like a 1537 kit on there. I don't think it would support a 1/350 scale at all, but something in the 18 to 20 inch range up to that big, it would probably support it. And those little polar light spaces, I didn't mention that, but you can buy those separately. They're available through Jerry at HDA Model Works. They're really nice because they come with the the dome here, and then you've got this mounting rod, which is hollow, which is nice because you can pass wires through it, and you get the little swivel head up on the top. And the bases are available for like less than $10. There's enough room in there to mount switches. Like I said, I've got the battery and everything mounted down there, so you can even put a circuit board down there. I've showed you different things I've done with these bases here, and you can paint things on the top of it if you want to detail it a little bit more. And I just think they're really great, and they don't have a big footprint, so you can put it on a shelf and not take up a lot of room and all that. So it's pretty slick. Some people in here asking Ralph at Tenna Controls about his new refit board, and I just saw where Ralph responded here. He's got a new board coming out for the Enterprise refit, and you guys can probably stop by Ralph's website pretty soon here and check out the details on that. I know he told me about it a while back, and it's going to be a really nice board. It's going to incorporate the basically the startup sequence that we saw in the Enterprise when it's leaving dry dock. Ralph and I had talked about some of that stuff over the last winter, and he's got a really great system set up where you basically can hit one button and this thing will do the entire power-up sequence on its own, which is really, really cool. So I'm looking forward to that too. Might be giving me another reason to build another 350 scale refit to improve on what I've got here. I know I'm going to incorporate that into our big 8-foot model when we get around to that one. We want to use one of all the electronics that we put in that are going to be all Tenna Controls. I've been using Tenna Controls for 5 years now, since the very beginning, and never look back. It's just, as I say all the time, excellent customer support, and Ralph is fantastic, especially if you have special requests and things like that. I mean, he's all over it, and nobody better out there supporting his products. 5-year warranty, you can't beat that. Sean McClure is asking, when are we on uvu? Well, for me it's kind of random, Sean. Sometimes in the evening when I'm working on the bench here out in the shop, if I'm not too busy, I'll just pop on and see if anybody is on there. And like I said, as soon as I bring the program up, I've got my contact list, and you can forward your contact list to your friends. So, the group of people that you're used to chatting with, you can all get on the same page. So when you're all on there, or when somebody's on there you want to talk to, you can just hit the dial button, and they'll, if they're there, they'll pick right up, and the chat session begins. It's really user friendly. It's a lot easier to get going and started than the Google Plus thing. Modeler X is asking about the Tenna Controls board. I'm not sure about all the final details. When I was the last I spoke to Ralph about it, Modeler X, or Gary, he was still developing it, but I think he mentioned here that he's got it complete. So I would contact Ralph directly, and you can email him through his website, and he'll give you the details on that. Got a couple of people starting to check out Donuts in Space. Nice to see you here with us tonight, Donuts. Enjoy your week, and hopefully you get a chance to work on the bench. Like everybody, we hopefully you guys get some modeling time in during the week. Swedish Dr. Plastic, which is your next model, Boyd? I'm working on. I've got several in the works right now. I'm working on a lot of client builds. I've got 3 TOS 350 scale Enterprises that are on the bench that I'm building. I've got that 2500 scale Battlestar Galactica. I'm going to start on the Shelby Mustang and the, let's see, we've got this James Bond auto gyro Little Nelly that we showed on the show here a few episodes back. We're going to start on that one. And just kind of, who knows what comes along. I'm looking at a couple of kits online right now that I'm thinking about picking up, so it's just kind of whatever comes along that tickles my fancy. And I'm trying to, on this show here, we're trying to build all different types of subjects. TrekWorks is primarily, even though I've been showing a lot of cars on that channel lately, it's primarily a sci-fi thing, and I know a lot of the long-time subscribers have kind of asked me when we're going to get back to that, and we will. We're going to be doing a lot of sci-fi stuff. We're actually going to start on our Alien Nostromo here fairly soon, and I've got the Randy Cooper, beautiful Randy Cooper Galileo model kit, which is a, I think it's like about a 132 scale. It's about, 13, 14 inches long, beautiful, and we want to get started on that one. So you guys are going to get to see a lot more sci-fi back over on the TrekWorks channel here, and then I've been trying to get some updates out on the few segments put together and get some updates out on the Battlestar too, because we're getting close to getting that one finished up. And then of course the big one that's going to come along is the 8-foot Enterprise. Once that gets rolling, that's going to be a long ongoing series that I think that's going to be one of the most exciting projects we've had ever in the shop here, and it's going to be great. It's been slow going, that's for sure. I'm as anxious as everybody else to get started, but we've just got to be patient with our mold makers and everybody that's working on it. A lot of work has gone into this, so it will be coming soon, guys, I promise. Dunn P12 is asking if there's any advice on how to build the Bondi 1350 Battleship Yamato. The best advice I can give is just pay really close attention to the instructions, because that model is very sensitive about the order that you have to build everything. And being that the kit's instructions are in Japanese, you have to learn what all the symbols mean. And once you learn their symbol system there, it really kind of just comes together for you. I delayed building the first one that I built because I didn't have a good understanding of what the instructions were telling me, and I kind of figured out what some of those symbols were, and after that it was just a breeze. I mean, the engineering that's gone into that kit is just phenomenal, and everything fits together like a breeze. And once you, like I said, get an understanding of that symbol system, it's pretty much straightforward. And there are quite a few videos on YouTube you can go reference on that from different people who've built it, to give you some different ideas on maybe how you want to paint it, or the weathering you may or may not want to do, and how to work with the photo etch parts that come with the kit and all that. But it's a beautiful kit. It's worth every penny. It's kind of an expensive kit, but it's just phenomenal when it's finished up. Got some people checking out. Yep, I think we're going to call it a night here, guys. I'm showing our usual quitting time. We're about an hour and 45 minutes in here. That gets to be kind of a long show. I don't see any more specific questions popping up here. Okay, guys, well, I think that's it. Well, I hope you guys have a great week, and I hope you get a chance to build some models this week. We always love the updates. Keep those pictures coming to us, guys. We've gotten some pictures in the last week, so we can get another slideshow put together. We really enjoy that part of the show. A lot of the viewers do as well. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you like the show tonight. We really appreciate that. That helps get out the word about our show. We've been getting a bigger and bigger audience all the time, and I want to say a thanks again to Ralph for sponsoring the show with Tenna Controls, and that really helps us out here a lot here in the shop too. So we'll be back next week, guys, with another segment. We'll be up to episode 75. I can hardly believe it. A lot of episodes in the can already, and we keep trying to make them better as we go along. But we'll have some new stuff to share with you next week. We'll be starting on a couple of brand new builds and updating you on some of the stuff that's ongoing. So thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we enjoyed the chat session, had a lot of fun with that tonight. We'll see you next week. Until we do, everybody, take care and happy modeling, everyone. Good night.
Thank you.